Welcome to the Calling All Creeps podcast. My name is Bryce.
And I'm Nathan.
And tonight we are going to talk to you about one of my favorite movies of all time, Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Jinkies, Bryce.
Nathan, have you seen this movie before?
Oh, yeah, I definitely saw this as a kid, I'm sure. I remember it somewhat. I have much more vivid memories of the Zombie Island one, but I do kind of remember bits and pieces of this.
Yeah, they kind of get paired together, and I feel like most people consider Zombie Island their favorite.
Yeah.
I love Zombie Island, don't get me wrong. I love all of Scooby-Doo, but this... I would say this is probably my favorite Scooby-Doo movie. Maybe my favorite Scooby-Doo everything.
This one's got the secret sauce, man.
Yeah, it does. I think it's got everything you would want in a Scooby-Doo movie. I've been watching this since probably day one. I came out of the womb watching this movie. Yeah, it just holds a special place in my heart. I watch it all the time. I didn't get to rewatch it in time for this episode. I just had a baby a couple of days ago.
That's right. Let's just have a round of, I guess, just appreciation for Bryce having had his second child just 2 days ago, right?
Yep, just 2 days ago. Happy and healthy as can be.
And now here we are podcasting.
Yeah, I've got no sleep. I just got home. We were in the hospital for a couple of days. But again, I've seen this movie so many times. I am rearing to go.
Bryce is such a huge Scooby-Doo fan, the biggest I've ever met in my life. I didn't think it was possible to like Scooby-Doo as much as Bryce McArdle does. And not even having a child will stop this man from coming home and podcasting about it.
Yeah, no, that's one of those things. I always consider myself a really big fan of something. Like in my head, I'm like, I'm the world's biggest Scooby-Doo fan. I love it. I watch Scooby-Doo all the time. And then you see someone else and they've owned every collectible item and they've met all the voice actors and like all sorts of extra stuff. They run some Facebook group and they post every day about Scooby-Doo, and I'm like, all right, okay, maybe I'm not the world's biggest fan, but I'm a pretty big fan of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. See, I know that you in particular, Scooby-Doo is very important to you. For as long as I've known you, Scooby-Doo has been huge for you. I will say right off the bat that you're a much bigger fan of Scooby-Doo than I am. It's probably the most controversial statement on this podcast, but I don't love Scooby-Doo. I'm sort of lukewarm on it in general.
Really? Lukewarm?
Although I do like some things. Yeah, even as a kid, I thought it was just kind of goofy and shitty, but I always liked the aesthetics of it.
Yeah, the artwork, the voice actors. And again, some things get repetitive when they're the same thing every time. But something like Scooby-Doo, every episode is practically the same episode, and every movie is practically the same movie. But I think it goes miles to show that, even after almost 60 years or something of Scooby-Doo doing the same thing over and over again, and it's still good, that just goes to show, man, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If you got a good thing, don't change it. Sometimes you can get something down to an art, and you just keep making that same thing, and it's perfect every time. That's something special about Scooby-Doo.
I guess I'll ask you this in a second here, but my history with Scooby-Doo as a child is I would catch it on TV sometimes, mostly on cable. There used to be this thing called Boomerang where they would play old cartoons, and that's probably where I was watching it most of the time. But there was also that movie that came out in 2004 or whatever, where Scooby-Doo was this really badly animated CGI dog, and it was this really weird, horny movie.
Hey, I can look at myself naked.
Oh, brother.
Do you have any memory of that?
The Scooby-Doo live-action movie? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen everything Scooby-Doo, but I've seen probably a good 90% of it, and the live-action movies are great. I think it might be the most well-cast adaptation to a live-action film I've ever seen. I think that movie is perfect. Sometimes I sit back and think about how incredible it is that all that came together like that, because that's awesome.
Yeah, I won't argue with Hot Velma. That was the innovation we needed.
But I'm more comfortable in the world of logic and facts.
We're not talking the live-action Scooby-Doo movie tonight. Tonight we are talking Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
You're goddamn right.
Yeah, so this movie starts out late at night in a museum, and you have one of the workers walking around, shuffling papers, finishing up for the night. And he's walking around, you can see all the characters of the Mystery Inc. dressed up as different museum props. Then you have these two guys that are Vikings or something come out to attack this guy, and you get into your first chase scene of the movie where Billy Ray Cyrus plays the Scooby-Doo theme song, which is the only questionable choice in this movie.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the cover actually sounded kind of nice, although I do definitely think that Billy Ray Cyrus should be found and executed on the spot, just for being Billy Ray Cyrus.
You don't like Achy Breaky Heart?
Don't tell my heart, my achy breaking heart.
I'm gonna have to give a pass on that one, man.
I don't know anything about Billy Ray Cyrus, but I like Achy Breaky Heart.
God, man, that song is just such ass, dude. And it's responsible for basically creating modern pop country.
Oh.
So, thank you for being one of the people who supports it.
No, I do not support modern pop country. That's a fact. But yeah, especially with the Hex Girls being in this film and, having such a great cast of musicians playing that band, they contribute 3 songs to the movie. I could not tell you why the Hex Girls did not play the opening theme to this.
Yeah, who knows how that came about. It seems like with the Hex Girls, we'll talk about them in more detail, but it seems like the studio probably asked them to submit like a few songs, like a handful of songs. Just give us some numbers. And they ended up choosing the Hex Girls We're Gonna Put a Spell on You song as sort of like the main attraction. And then the worst song, Ghost Problem, or whatever it's called, got stuck at the end credits, and I can see why.
We got a ghost problem. I can feel it in my bones.
And we'll talk about it more in a bit, but between the two of us, I can safely say that I probably like these songs significantly less than you do. Not really a Hex Girls fan.
Blasphemous.
I know.
But yeah, so besides putting them as a theme song, they put one-hit wonder country artist Billy Ray Cyrus doing the theme song. But like you said, odd choice, it's still good.
It's a good cover.
Yeah, and then during this chase scene, who steps out but Ben Ravencroft?
I don't believe it. You're Ben Ravencroft, the famous horror writer.
That's right.
He steps out. I think all Scooby-Doo villains are called ghosts, essentially. But trips the villains here, and they unmask them, I think, as security guards. And, hunky-dory, there's your little unmasking, your regular Scooby-Doo stuff starting out the movie. And then Velma starts to geek out because who helped them at the end there? But Ben Ravencroft, one of her favorite authors. I assume he's a type of horror or goth author. And
well, he's played by Tim Curry.
He is played by Tim Curry, which is fantastic. I love Tim Curry.
Yeah. I was rewatching this episode earlier today, and I was just laughing at how much they're glazing this guy in the first scene. He's like, I'm, schmucky schmuck, and Velma is all over this dude. And they're just basically like, oh wow, it's Ben Ravencroft, the best writer ever, and also the coolest guy.
Yeah, no. Man, when I was a kid, this is the guy I wanted to be when I grow up. I still probably do a little bit.
You want to be every character when you grow up.
Yeah, no, I do. Everyone but me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to upstage you.
Yeah, and so, surprise, surprise, Ben Ravencroft knows the names of everyone in the Scooby Gang, which is strange, but maybe not.
Yeah, so are they famous?
Yeah, I would say Mystery Inc. is pretty famous in the Scooby-Doo universe.
Huh.
They kind of go all over the world solving crimes, I would figure they got to be pretty famous, word of mouth, and every episode's a new location. And
I guess so. At this point in the franchise that is established canon, as a child, I always just had the impression that these are just a bunch of stoned out teenagers driving around in a van, essentially homeless, harassing people at random, and not necessarily like famous crime solvers.
Just like impersonating cops, yeah.
Just doing all kinds of highly illegal shit, probably.
Yeah, and we'll do several Scooby-Doo episodes in the future. But yeah, and so they're sitting there talking to Ben Ravencroft, and he invites them to come up to New England, I think maybe it's Massachusetts, Oak Haven, Massachusetts, I believe, or somewhere up in New England.
It's basically Salem, right?
Yeah, it's probably supposed to be something like that. Honestly, I was pretty pissed when I moved to Massachusetts that that town did not exist. I got up into Massachusetts and I was like, all right, instead of directions to where I'm moving to, I was like, I need directions to Oak Haven, and it's a fictional town. But pretty good representation of how it is up there. As someone from Kansas, I always thought New England would be just like this town, and it kind of is, which is really magical. Going to Salem is great. A lot of cool history up there. And so, yeah, you know, the gang's always up for some new adventure. And so they travel along to Oak Haven with Ben Ravencroft to check out his childhood home, or the place where he writes, or at least used to write his books.
And that scene at the end where the caretaker's flesh dissolved was so brilliant.
Oh, look, we're here.
Already?
They get up there and they pull in, and Ben Ravencroft is automatically like, what the hell is going on?
It's been turned into a tourist trap.
Yeah, which is kind of how it feels. But again, as someone who's more akin to a tourist to the location, obviously I was not born there, it seemed really fun. And yeah, the mayor comes up and he's all like, yeah, you know, if we needed to get some probably like money boosted into the town. And so yeah, kind of turned the place into a pilgrim tourist event. Super fun. Ben automatically is like, okay, you've been digging around, you've been putting up all this construction. Have you found my dead ancestors' book of spells? And he's like, no, you haven't found your fucking grandma's book of spells, my guy.
Yeah, it's been revealed that they've essentially, like, dug up her grave, or, like, violated her grave in some fashion.
Yeah, I think at this point, they don't put that out there yet. But yeah, they haven't found it yet.
But it's clear that Ben Ravencroft is pissed off that his ancestor is being used as fodder for the mayor's scheme to generate revenue for the town.
Right, the town, I believe dentist comes up and he's got t-shirts, and I still to this day I need to make myself one of these t-shirts. It says, I saw the ghost of Oak Haven and lived. So cool. And it's got this great green fiery witch on there. I would love to own one of these shirts. I will definitely make myself one in the future. And yeah, and so obviously boom, they're talking about the witch of the town, which he knows to be his ancestor, Sarah Ravencroft. And yeah, he's not very happy about that. And they also, this is the first time you get a hint of the Hex Girls. You can see that they are on a sign or a poster or something that they're going to be playing that night. A local group. Obviously, just already started out. What a cool name. Still back in the day where great band names were available, unlike today.
Yeah, I like to imagine that the Hex Girls are not only the best band in town, but the only band in town. The music scene consists of one band, and it is the Hex Girls.
Yeah, I'd believe it. I think unless you're in Boston, it didn't seem to be a huge music scene up there. But this is also like 30 years ago or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, they go around and you get to see the little pilgrim area they have set up. People are churning butter. Scooby-Doo's playing a butter churner like a guitar, knocking stuff over. And he finds what they believe is a shoe buckle. And Hickory Dickory Dock, they go on their way. Fred, Velma, and Daphne are going to go check out Ben Ravencroft's house. Scooby and Shaggy are going into town to eat, which Ben Ravencroft says, go ahead and put it on my tab, which they remind him he's going to regret. And I love his face when they say that. They're like, hey, that was a bad idea to tell him you could put all that food on your tab. And his face looks really concerned. He's like, really? I'm like, oh man, I didn't think I needed to check my bank account.
So like, what is the deal with Scooby and Shaggy being obsessed with food and gluttony? Because it's not really funny. It's not really anything. It's just sort of a thing.
You don't find it funny?
I mean, maybe.
I think it's funny.
Maybe I found it funny like the first 10 or 15 times that I saw it.
No. See, that's, like we said earlier, that's why Scooby-Doo works, because they can just do the same thing over again, and it's just as good as the first time you saw it.
Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. My point of view has been debunked.
Jack's gonna take good care of you boys. You're gonna love his cooking. Like I'm sure we will, Your Honor.
Myth busted or something.
Yes, my myth has been busted. busted and nutted in.
But yeah, so Fred, Daphne, and Velma go and check out Ben's house, and this is where they get to learn a little bit about Sarah Ravencroft. They've got a great big painting of her with a book hanging around an oak tree where this poor Wiccan woman, who did nothing but help the sick and elderly with her herbs and stuff, was considered a witch. And I don't know if they say she was burned at the stake or if this was part of the Salem witch trials, but you get something to that effect. And she's got a book, and he would like to clear her name by getting this book so he can prove to everybody she wasn't a witch, but just a Wiccan.
So, like, is it bad if she was a witch?
Yeah, I think...
Like, what's the difference?
Well, the movie treats Wicca really strange, but I think they're going with the idea that if she was a witch, that she uses some sort of, like, cartoon Harry Potter magic, and she's going around cackling and zapping people, and she's got warts on her face or something.
Yeah, that would arouse attention.
Yeah, and if you're a Wiccan, then you're just, a person hanging out with nature.
Yeah, there seems to be this idea that witches were like real people, and they were actually just these peaceful, cool hipsters that did things with beads and blogged about TikTok feminism and made herbal recipes and stuff.
Yeah, which again, it would just kind of be the norm of the day. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Wicca as like a nature religion was created probably several hundred years after this. So I don't think she would have been a Wiccan.
Yeah, so no, Wiccan is just a bunch of witchy girl bullshit. But yeah, there's a lot of conversation in this movie around this idea of Wiccans and persecution. They don't really explore it that deeply because it's pretty heady subject matter for a children's cartoon. But they sort of skirt around it a little bit, giving the viewers an impression of the Salem witch trials and the general brutality of religious witch trials and things during the early modern period.
Right. And so, yeah, so they're learning all of this about Sarah Ravencroft, thinking, again, like the women of the time were, this poor woman was unfairly judged and unfairly sentenced. They're sympathizing with Ben and his plight to let everybody know that his ancestor wasn't a bad person and was in fact a healer. And then you also cut to Scooby-Doo and Shaggy over at the restaurant, starting out with one of everything and just eating the place up. People are throwing up and leaving. And eventually the owner has to step out to go buy more food from the store because they've eaten everything. And they're still not done yet, which is hilarious.
So, how's the food?
Pretty darn good.
Hilarious, the most hilarious thing I've ever seen.
It's funny. But yeah, the gang stops by and says, hey, they're expecting a visit from the witch tonight if you want to come over. And they're like, of course, Scooby and Shaggy, they want no part of that. They'd rather just be here eating. So they stay. They end up getting all their dessert and leaving the owner of the restaurant with a unbelievably large pile of dishes. And yeah, they were like, okay, all that witch business is probably over. Let's go home. Which they also cut back to everyone there waiting for the witch. Yeah, the witch doesn't come. All the tourists are disappointed, which it really confuses me as to why that's the situation, because the witch is made up and they're trying to monetize on the witch. And so if they're having somebody dress up as the witch to get people to come to town and they're selling t-shirts saying, I saw the witch and lived, I have no fucking clue why they tell everyone to gather around to see the witch and then they don't have her show up. But then they, later in a completely different area where no one would be except Scooby and Shaggy on this dark street after everyone's gone home, then the witch shows up. It doesn't make sense to me. If you're trying to attract tourists and you want them to say, there is a witch, I saw it, I bought the t-shirt. If you want to see the witch, you would also want to come to this town to spend your money. You think the witch would have shown up. But whatever. And so Scooby-Doo and Shaggy are walking home. They've gotten very large, as they do from eating so much. And who comes down a dark alley but 3 maybe witches?
Girls! Girls! Like, hi, girls.
But I love they push all their stomach fat up into their chest and they slick back their hair to impress these women all of a sudden, only for the Hex Girls to smile, which is really weird. They all they do is smile with fangs, and Scooby-Doo and Shaggy, drop the weight back into their stomachs and take off running. And when they do, the witch you're supposed to see comes flying out, and she's, you must pay, and she's shooting fireballs, and then they end up running into the rest of the gang and Ben Ravencroft. And then they're like, okay, well, what did you see? And they're like, well, we saw the witch's ghost. We saw all 4 witches. Again, strange thing on Scooby-Doo is a lot of things are referred to as ghosts when they're not ghosts. This particular witch is supposed to be a ghost, but then they refer to these other 3 women with vampire fangs as witches, which made no sense to me. You think they would have said, I saw a witch and 3 vampires. But no.
Well, how are they supposed to know that they're vampires? Like, a vampire is a specific thing. They don't know that they drink blood.
No, but have you ever heard of witches having fangs?
Who knows what witches have?
Because all the girls did was come out of the alley and say, hi.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't do anything. They said hello. I assume the only reason they took off running is because they smiled and had fangs.
Well, the real reason is they had to set up for the payoff later on, where it gets called into question if the Hex Girls are witches or not.
Or else these were just 3 women saying hello after you said hello to them first. It's very weird. I don't know.
Also, the designs for the Hex Girls are interesting. They're sort of just like stereotypical 90s goth chicks.
Yeah.
And just about anybody who has anything to say about this movie goes on about how sexily the Hex Girls are drawn. It is hilariously sexualized for a kid's cartoon.
Are they?
Yeah, I would say so.
I don't think they're dressed very revealing or anything.
I would say they're
I think they're just dressed in what is probably perceived by the studio as goth people of the day. I'm not sure if they are overly sexualized or anything.
I would say just like the way that they're drawn is kind of... I know I'm not the only person to make this point. Everybody wants to bang the Hex Girls.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're drawn to be an attractive group of women as cartoons. That is for sure. If you look at their outfits, look at their getup, they kind of do like a werewolf, Frankenstein, monster, vampire thing, which is pretty neat.
Huh, I didn't know that at all.
I didn't either. But yeah, I've heard that recently, and I thought that was kind of a cool observation. It seems to check out. So a little cool Universal Monster callback here. But yeah, so they're talking about running into these 4 witches, and they go to check it out, and Velma finds a sort of fine powder in the streets where they were throwing fireballs, and that the tops of the trees are all cut off very straight, very vertical. Now they have to investigate this witch. Again, I don't know why. I guess, I don't know. Usually I feel like they go to check after a monster after it's done some sort of crime. And I guess chasing Scooby and Shaggy and throwing fireballs could be considered a crime. But they didn't seem like they were at the festival earlier where the witch is supposed to appear. They didn't seem like they were setting up a trap or something to catch her then. They were just going to be viewers. But now they've got to figure it out.
Yeah, well, it also kind of seems like Velma's the one spearheading the efforts here. She's the one who's kind of like... oh, we have to investigate this. All right, Fred, you pair up with Daphne, and all right, you Shaggy and Scoob, you do this.
This is the part, I think, where they see the lights in the forest, and they go to investigate. This is where they run into the Hex Girls, right?
Hit it, sisters!
Yes, they run into the band rehearsing in the forest. I don't know why we never did this, since apparently it's something you can do. Just have spooky forest band rehearsals.
Yeah, we should get some generators and do this. Yeah, just middle of the night rehearsals in the woods. They play one song and they're like, yeah, we're rehearsing.
And they play a song that we should talk about the Hex Girls song just a little bit. I figure you're a fan. You're probably a fan of this song.
No, yeah, the Hex Girls are the best part of this movie, and this song is absolutely fantastic. I listen to this song all the time. I actually learned to cover it a few years ago and have done so a good handful of times now. It's super fun.
You feel the fog as I cloud your mind. You get dizzy when I make the sign. You wake up in the dead of night, missing me when I'm outside. I'm a Hex Girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you.
I am not into the Hex Girls songs, and I was kind of in agony every second that they were singing this. Although I gotta say the bridge is pretty good, because the verse and chorus is like really annoying to me, but then it goes into this smooth ass bridge with this really nice melody and chord progression, and when that comes on, I'm like, hey, all right, this is nice.
With this little cobweb potion, you'll fall into dark devotion. If you ever lose affection, I can change your whole direction. I'm a hex girl.
And then it's right back into the same chorus again.
Oh man, the chorus, the whole song's super good. The whole band setup is super great. They've got a look going on. They've got a sound. And I remember this is probably the first time when I was a kid that I wanted to start a band, because I wanted to sound like the Hex Girls.
Bryce, I am so glad that you sound like you. I'm so glad you sound like you and not like the Hex Girls, I gotta say.
Oh, that's too bad. I would like to.
But, okay, so I'll say this much. I can't say that the songs are objectively bad. These are clearly very talented singers and musicians, and the songwriting itself is well crafted. It's just not for me. And I think that clearly these songs were written by someone who is a professional industry songwriter, who is experienced at creating these things.
Yeah. It's a good song, and I guess, if you're not into the genre of, like, I'm not sure if you could really say goth rock, but you could say like kind of gothic rock, gothic metal. Yeah, it's very good. And so, they finish up their song, and they're like, what are you guys doing intruding on our rehearsal here? And they're like, oh, we heard you guys were ghosts. And they're like, yeah, we're not. We're witches. They're like, we're not witches. And we're just the band.
They're just straight up like, yeah, no, that's just a fucking gimmick. We're just a band. What do you want from us?
Yeah, right? It's like Scooby-Doo. Like, you guys have never heard of, like, people dressing up in costumes and having cool bands? I don't know. But I guess we'll move on from that. But still, they're a little suspicious of this, and so they decide they're going to investigate.
Oh, also, just real quick, there's a shot during the song where Daphne catches Fred looking at the Hex Girls and, like, gets mad at him. So does that mean that Fred and Daphne actually are together? Because I thought it was like, will they or won't they?
Still will they or won't they in here. There's still a scene where Fred's like, oh, I've been meaning to, like, tell you something or ask you something, and then they get interrupted.
Oh, okay.
By the Hex Girls. So it's still a little bit of that.
Velma, meanwhile, wants to bang the writer guy, and the rest of the time she's a lesbian.
Yeah, it depends on which iteration you're watching. There's a series where Shaggy and Velma are in a relationship. They do the lesbian series. Yeah, I think Fred and Daphne are always kind of a thing.
You're like one of us.
Yeah, you understand what we're into.
But so Fred and Daphne are going to go follow the Hex Girls. Ben and Velma are going to go off, and Scooby and Shaggy are going to go off following the mayor. And so Daphne and Fred follow Thorn. They follow her to her shack and witness her doing what they think might be some sort of witch magic. And so she has just landed herself suspect number one, while Velma and Ben, they're going to the woods, following the tree line, and they find a cherry picker and this barn. But then Scooby and Shaggy end up following the mayor, and they see him going around town, and they deliver one of my favorite lines where the mayor's a busy man, picking things up and dropping things off. But they're following him around, and the posing is poses lovers, and they hide in the bushes and do all the fun Scooby and Shaggy dress up things that they do. Again, one of those things in the movie where I don't have an answer to this, but they follow him into a barn, and inside of the barn, which only has an entrance on the front, there doesn't seem to be any other exit to this barn, but they follow the mayor into this barn, walks in clearly, and then they go in, and then they meet the ghost again, who's up on the balcony of the barn, and the ghost proceeds to chase Scooby and Shaggy, and they have to bust through the back of this barn, create them-sized holes in it.
Have you ever tried to do that as a kid?
Oh yeah, doesn't work. Unfortunately, just cartoon logic. But then, yeah, they all end up running into each other again, them and the rest of the gang, and Ben, the mayor, is like also in there. He's like, well, what the hell is going on? And they're like, I think you have some explaining to do. That we've been following him around. And again, so that's what I don't get, is the mayor goes in and they run out the back way, but you never see, once they're in there, you never see the mayor. And so what did he do? Obviously he knows the ghost is going to be in there, but yeah, you don't see him go back out the front door, and I assume he did follow out their holes in the back. I don't know. He's got some explaining to do. He walks in, and then he's like, well, I didn't see a ghost. And I'm like, well, there was no other options. They walked in right behind you, which I don't know why they would have followed him in behind either. That was not very good snooping. They would have been caught if you walk into a single room building behind somebody. If you open that door again, the mayor would know he's being followed by then. I don't know. It all doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the Mystery Incorporated, they're very bad sleuthers. They're basically just protected by plot armor.
Yep, but so, yeah, and then the ghost shows up and they decide to go ahead and capture the ghost, which they do, to catch it in a soccer net. And it turns out to be Thorn, the lead singer of the Hex Girls' dad.
Like it's the t-shirt guy.
Mr. McKnight, the pharmacist? Daddy?
No way! And a bunch of other random-ass people from the town who were all just hanging out in the woods at night to facilitate this.
Yeah, again, super fucking weird. But yeah, they decide, they're using Sarah Ravencroft's name to dig up more tourist stuff. They find all these people that are involved in this hoax, and so they put all these people and all this time and effort into creating this hoax of the ghost, and then they don't show the ghost at the festival. Again, I couldn't tell you why.
Who knows, Bryce? I think you might have given this more thought than the actual writers of the show did at the time.
Yeah, but so after they unmask your witch, they're like, okay, well, that's it. And Ben's of course super mad, but then Dr. McKnight and the mayor show up to tell Ben that they did find her grave. I think they found a headstone. They didn't find the book, and they didn't find any bones or anything like that. So again, he's super bummed, but Velma notices that the shoe buckle that Shaggy thought he found at the beginning of the movie matches the book buckle in the portrait of Sarah Ravencroft, and they decide to look for the book where Shaggy found the belt buckle. This is also, I gotta point this out, is where they talk about Thorn McKnight, or Sally McKnight, being 1/16th Wiccan. Which again Wiccan is like a personal choice.
So yeah, it's not like a genetic thing that you have.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. They got to get this mixed up. I don't think they knew what Wicca was when they made this movie. I think they just heard about it because it doesn't make sense. I don't even know how you would calculate somebody.
This show is attempting to discuss these concepts of Wiccanism and witchery, witchcraft.
Yeah, as if like witchcraft is fake and Wicca is not that Wicca isn't real, but they're trying to like pass it off as like essentially a different word for being a witch, which again, it sort of is, I guess, if you're into pagan religions that delve in magic. I guess you were also a witch, but again, I think they're trying to make it, they're really mixing it up here. It's really strange.
Well, there's this modern fascination with this idea that back in medieval times or early modern times, there was this strain of pre-Christian paganism that survived, and that there were these cool Wicca chicks doing things with herbs back in the 1600s. It's an idea that a lot of modern people are really intrigued by, and I understand that it's an appealing idea, but it just doesn't really have any historical basis. The Wiccanism thing is like a modern countercultural identity more than it is a historical thing.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I don't think it's that old. Again, when it comes to stuff like they're talking about mixing up herbs as medicine, that's just normal practice. They didn't have pharmacies like we do nowadays back in the day. Like That's the only medicine you had to work with was herbs. So I don't even know how that would make you a witch and not make you just a regular doctor or something.
Yeah, I mean, make no mistake, there were definitely women back in the day getting fucked over for doing things with herbs and making remedies and stuff. But that was probably a pretty normal thing in, like, peasant communities.
Right, yeah, you probably didn't have a doctor, and so that's, you had to rely on folk medicine, which, again, has nothing really to do with being a witch.
Yeah.
Of course, she wasn't very popular with the town's doctors. Sarah was untraditional in her approach to medicine. She was a Wiccan.
Say what?
I've read about them. Wiccans were people who were in tune with the forces of nature and used them for healing purposes.
Exactly.
But whatever. So they make a big thing about Thorn being 1/16th Wiccan. Oh, this is where they also the Hex Girls out themselves as eco-goths.
That's quite an act, Miss,
Thorn. This is Dusk and Luna. We're eco-goths.
Eco-goths?
And we don't need your approval.
What the fuck? What does that mean? What does that mean, Bryce?
It means they're goth and they also fucking love the earth. They're environmentalist.
Okay.
Environmentalist goths.
Stop.
Which is the best kind. No. I'm actually, honestly, there's so many like goth subcultures. There's even like what people do health goth nowadays. I was really surprised when I was older to be like, okay, well, man, I really like that eco goth thing. As someone who is, I would consider myself an environmentalist, and I'm a vegan, and I love the goth culture. And I was like, okay, I need to find these people, and it doesn't exist. And I can't believe no one has started it after this movie came out. They made health goth a thing. If you're goth and you work out, Scooby-Doo just made up eco goth, and no one's taken it and run with it.
I guess I just don't quite understand the connection. Like, so you're into the environment, but you're also goth, and that's like a thing. So if you get together with other eco-goths and do eco-goth things, what are you doing? If you like pizza and you're a goth, are you a pizza goth?
If it's that big of your personality, you probably could be. All things are made up, Nathan.
Yeah, you know what? I am a hater. My role in the podcast is to be the hater. You're the romantic that people sympathize with, and I am the villain of the show.
Okay, I didn't know, but I'll roll with it. But yeah, so in the Calling All Creeps podcast universe here, we are officially running with eco-goth. Nathan and I are now both eco-goths, and you should join us. And yeah, we should probably create like a subreddit or something on it, create some t-shirts. Eco-goth, I like it. I digress. Anyways, so they go searching for this shoe buckle, now book buckle. And so they go, and Scooby-Doo sniffs out where he found this belt buckle at. Through some coercing with Scooby Snacks, he decides to dig down around this oak tree. So Scooby-Doo digs down, he finds a box, pulls this nice chest out of the ground, and Ben's all heavy breathing. He opens it up, and inside is the book. Though this book looks nothing like the book in the painting, and as Velma looks, that doesn't look like a book. That holds a bunch of nice healing herb stuff in it. And he's like, yeah, that's right, you dumb bitch, because it fucking isn't.
Ben, that doesn't seem to be a journal at all.
Because it isn't, Velma. It's a spell book.
And you're like, oh, okay. And he's like, it's because Sarah Ravencroft wasn't a Wiccan. He's like, she's actually a witch. And you're like, okay, there you go.
Oh, well, thank God we know the distinction now.
Yeah, which I don't. But, but again, witch, she's a cartoon style witch.
I also love the part where he's like, yes, yeah, my ancestor was a witch or a Wicca. That makes me a warlock. Ha 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 ha. And I'm like, okay, dude.
See, which would make sense, because I assume if you're a witch in this sense they're talking about, that makes you like a subcategory of human. Like I would assume you're like a different species to be able to do stuff like this. I don't know.
I think according to traditional folklore, which is just Christianity, basically, if you're a witch, it just means you're a human who is in consort with the devil. But I don't know what, like, the secular Scooby-Doo lore would be of what a witch is. If it's, like you say, a different species.
Maybe not a different species. I guess it depends on, yes, if you were turned into a witch or if you were born a witch. I don't know. See, he didn't. But again, then it passes through your bloodline, which, again, if that makes him a warlock, again, I feel like he could have been able to do this stuff before finding the book. He has powers, I guess. He could have just been doing cool power stuff this whole time, and so could the rest of his family. But he didn't enter into anything with the devil or anything like that, so I don't know. So does that make him, if his ancestor was turned into a witch or given powers and he's attained them through blood, but didn't ask for them, is he now a subspecies of human? Is he like human? I don't know how it works.
Yeah, it's poorly explained. And all of the people that he is descended from between the original witch and himself, all the people in between just like lived regular lives, I guess, as just like bank tellers and shit.
Yeah, plus how would he know different than anybody else what his ancestor was?
Because he's crazy.
Maybe through storytelling, through family, I don't know. But anyways, yes, yeah, she was a witch and he's a warlock.
Sure.
And so they're like, oh, I can't believe you tricked us into helping you find this. He was like, yeah, I had to trick you. That's why I followed the mystery gang around and I set up the mystery at the museum so I could run into you guys for a chance meeting and take you to my hometown so you could secretly help me find my ancestor's book. And I'm like, that's a lot of work. I feel like he could have just called him up on the phone and been like, hey, you think you could help me look for a book? Or we could have hired a local detective or a historian or anybody else but the mystery gang. I don't know.
He wanted to seek out the people who are the most likely to bust him and foil his plans.
Right, yeah, I know, right? Yeah. And then so he decides that he is going to read from the book to awaken the actual witch's ghost, Sarah Ravencroft's ghost. And he's gonna rule the world. He's gonna rule the world now.
Yeah, he doesn't really go into detail about what he wants.
Power.
Resurrecting his ancestor and being vindicated, I guess.
Yeah. Again, not 100% sure. Anyway, so now this is where you get a turn from traditional Scooby-Doo. This is pretty regular for the movies, but from the series, this is where you get the turn from where this is not a witch mask. This is not a person dressed up in a costume. This is the real monster.
I was going to say, what's interesting about this movie is that it establishes, I guess, that supernatural stuff is real in this universe. This entire time leading up to this movie, they've just been dealing with not real things, just one case after another of somebody in a mask.
Yeah, I wonder whose decision it was to do that, because there is Scooby-Doo and the 13 Ghosts, which deals with real ghosts. And then, there's like Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School, which has real monsters. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island has real monsters and real zombies. The live-action Scooby-Doo movies have real monsters. I don't know whose decision it was to start making real monsters in it, but I do support it. It's still very fun.
She was indeed a witch.
A real witch? Heavy.
And yeah, his ancestor comes out, and I love how he's like, welcome to the future. And she looks around at this town that's been reset up to look like a pilgrim village. She's like, not much has changed. She is not on board, which I don't understand why. Again, she doesn't look anything like the person in the portrait. I don't know who created this portrait, but they got the book wrong and they got the person wrong. It might not even be a portrait of his ancestor. It might just be a portrait of some other chick.
Well, it would almost have to be, because you wouldn't have portraits of just regular random people in a Puritan village.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, he's like, cool, we're going to hang out and rule the world together. Again, it seems like, I don't know why she wouldn't be interested in it, but she's like, no, you can go fuck yourself. I'm just going to take revenge. But she has no interest in working with this guy who just just resurrected her. I think I would be a little more like, thanks, bud. Oh, we're related too? Nope.
To be fair, her rage at the community is understandable, but the second he starts to get any pushback from her, he's just like, but I brought you back. You're my servant. I rule you. And I'm like, dude.
Yeah, right. And again, this is a really bad time. Like, you think he would have, after all these years, he would have thought this out better. You think he would have found the book, and Velma would have been like, that doesn't look like a healer's book. He could have been like, oh, but it is. And he could have, like, brought her back, not in the middle of the night in front of a bunch of people. He probably could have, like, went back to his house, like, the next day and opened her up and, like, sat down and, like, talked to her through the plans or something like that. But no, he's pretty rash. The mayor and Mr. McKnight get locked up in the stockades.
Stockades.
Yeah. And Ben Ravencroft gets put inside of a giant translucent watermelon.
Thank God.
At least that's what it looks like.
Finally.
Yeah, I don't know what that's supposed to be. He's caught in some sort of floating force field bubble, but it sure looks like a watermelon. And so, you have all this fun chasing around, turning trees to life, turning pumpkins to life. The witch versus the Scooby Gang. Ben Ravencroft, again, after spending all this time, after figuring out his ancestor isn't going to help him immediately, he's like, well, I'll just put you back in book prison. If she's imprisoned in a magic book, then someone at the time would have had to have used magic, which they were against, I assume, to trap her inside of the book. Doesn't make much sense. Again, and then she wouldn't have ever even been burned alive, I assume, if she's trapped in the book. And then it doesn't make sense that she'd be a ghost either, because if you trap a person in a book, I don't know, does she die in the book and now she's a ghost? Where's her body at? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not really explained.
Like, if I thought you were doing witchcraft, Nathan, and I was like, I hate witchcraft, I don't know how I would use witchcraft to trap you inside of your own book. And then make sure there's a spell in there to release you and to put you back in. And then when I put you in there, you come out a ghost. It's cool. I like it. I love everything about this movie. But questionable for sure.
I don't know, because they wanted to make a show about a witch, but then they also wanted to make a show about a ghost, so they thought, we'll make it a witch's ghost. And that's probably about the amount of thought that went into it.
As Scooby-Doo as it gets. Yeah. And so they're, as Ben says, I'll just use this spell to put you back in the book. Which, again, I don't know what his plan after that was. Did he expect to, like, put her back in the book and, like, go along his merry way, or, like, fist fight the gang, or I don't know what. But he can't put her back in the book because only somebody that's a Wiccan can trap her in the book, which again means they're pointing out that they think Wiccans existed back in the 1600s and were this separate thing than witches that imprisoned her in the book in the first place. Again, I don't even know. Like, the Wiccans, I guess, were against witches and trapped her in the book. Clue me out. But so they need to get this book away. Ben's trapped in a watermelon, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember earlier when Thorne said she was 1/16th Wiccan on her mother's side. They're like, that means she can read the spell book and trap the witch back in. So they eventually get it to her, and she reads it, and the witch is trapped back into the book, and she drags Ben along with her. Again, would that make Ben a ghost if he got out again? Not sure. And then the book burns, and I guess you'll never know. And again, now you have to explain this missing guy. That's really strange. Like, the witch, that's ancient history. But now you have to explain, like, hey, didn't everybody see Ben yesterday, and now he's all of a sudden not making his house payments or following up on his publishers, and he's just MIA?
I don't think anybody's gonna miss Ben. That guy was kind of a douche.
Yeah, but he seems famous, though. He's like a famous missing person.
I guess he's like a famous writer, I guess.
Yeah, and one of the things they had done during the witch being around was turn a turkey into a giant turkey monster. But again, once they trap the witch back in the book, everything goes back to normal, except this giant turkey, which doesn't make sense, but it's fun. Now that the witch is back and everything's back to normal, they can go along with the festival, and, the Hex Girls still get to play. And so they get up and they play another banger of a song, Earth, Wind, Fire, and Air. The eco-goth theme song, and the movie shoots out, Yeah, and then you get that other song, which is, I think, technically a Hex Girl song, even though it sounds nothing like the rest of the Hex Girl songs. I think it's the same musicians, but as you pointed out, it is definitely the worst of the three.
Yeah, I do think it is. I think it's just like one of the ones they submitted. If the one you're talking about is Ghost Problem, we got a Ghost Problem.
Yeah, which is like this really electronic song, and it just doesn't sound like the other Hex Girl song, but I think it's still listed as a Hex Girl song, even though it's incredibly different.
And that takes us out of the movie, which is a little over an hour long. And it's in and out pretty quick.
Yeah, but yes, that's Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. What do you think about this movie, Nathan?
I had a lot of fun with it. I did. I think this is another one of those things that we encounter sometimes on this podcast where I liked it more than I respect it. There are some things that I respect more than I like, and some things that I like more than I respect. I enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's exactly good, but like the McDonald's cartoon, I nevertheless had a lot of fun with it, and I'm glad I saw it. I want to also say the soundtrack, Hex Girls songs aside, the actual score is like really well done. I was kind of impressed with it. Like they got like a proper orchestral composer in here. I was surprised by how big budget the score sounded. It's really nice.
It is, yeah. No, I think Hex Girl songs included. It is a very nice soundtrack to this movie. How does this rate for you against other Scooby-Doo media?
It's probably about as good as any Scooby-Doo thing that I've seen, because I don't like the TV show. Like, I will just openly admit, I'm not a huge fan of the TV show. I think it's just not my thing. I enjoy this. The animation is good. There is more effort put into this. A lot of the TV show episodes from like the 70s just feel so low effort and so like cheap. This has budget and this has effort going on with it, and I appreciate that. As far as 1 to 10 disembodied human skulls, I'm gonna give this a generous 6.5.
6.5. All right. This is probably my favorite Scooby-Doo thing compared to the series and the other films. This is my pinnacle. This is my favorite, and so I'm definitely giving it a big ol' 10 out of 10 disembodied human skulls.
Oh, that is so shocking. I never would have seen that coming.
Yeah, it's got everything you want in Scooby-Doo. It's got chase scenes, villains with masks. It's got real witches. It's got a warlock in it. It's got, multiple twists. And it's got eco-goths. It's got the Hex Girls, man. You can't beat the Hex Girls. It's got these great pumpkin monsters. Oh my god, yeah. It's set in New England. What's more cool, spooky horror Halloween than New England?
I guess not a whole lot, Bryce, but 6.5 is still above average. It's still a much better rating than you gave Edward Scissorhands. You gave that one a 4.5.
Yeah. This is light years beyond Edward Scissorhands.
Oh my god, bruh.
This movie was crafted by gods, while Edward Scissorhands was written by a kindergartner. Comparatively.
We have wildly differing opinions on art sometimes, but that's all right. That's part of the fun of doing this with you.
Oh yeah, no. I respect you, Nathan.
Well, that's good, because I respect myself, and you fucking suck.
That's true.
Just kidding. You're amazing. So, shit. When did this movie come out? It came out in 1999, it looks like.
Is it 99?
So, yeah, this probably came out, I probably saw it on TV like a few years after that, I would imagine.
I have had and still have this on VHS.
I've been meaning to get my hands on a VHS player. I wouldn't mind watching some VHS again. Maybe it'll be like vinyl one of these days.
I did see some people putting out new VHS tapes, some limited runs of some stuff. Super fun. As a VHS enthusiast, all my VHS players still work, and huge VHS collection. Love it. But between the artwork and everything this movie's got, this is just a great. This is a great Halloween film. Again, it's a great all year round film. It's a great addition to Scooby-Doo. And again, this is probably this is my start into all things Calling All Creeps. God, it's got everything. This is Scooby-Doo in general, but this movie probably specifically, is really what got me into all the things that I'm into and all the things that are horror and Halloween.
Well, as much as I may not love this the same way that you do, I nevertheless find I'm able to see it through your eyes a little bit more when you explain. Your uncomplicated love for these kinds of things is very endearing and helps me to get back in touch with my own childlike whimsy.
There you go. That's one.
Oh yeah. I've held back on the whimsies tonight, I have.
Do you have a favorite Scooby-Doo character?
I guess probably Velma, because I always kind of wanted to bang. Well, yeah, I'm not one of these guys who wants to fuck cartoon characters, but when that live action movie came out and they made Velma hot, oh, daddy-o.
All right, Velma fan. Yeah, everyone's a Velma fan these days.
I know. It's a sign of the changing times, I think. It's very... Velmas are in, man.
I know, and it's funny because, Daphne was probably written as like the eye candy, is the in chick. It's funny that she's not. Velma is in.
Yeah. I can't help but feel that a lot of that has to do with that movie that came out. That live-action Scooby-Doo probably had a lot to do with it. Although, I don't know, maybe it was a thing before. But clearly Daphne is meant to be the hot character, ostensibly. I am amused by the fact that their costumes have never changed, really, and they still dress like it's 1967.
Well... yeah, they have differing outfits a little bit in this film. Not extensively, but a slight update.
They're still looking pretty retro.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. Again, Fred's my favorite character.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, Velma was probably, but live action Velma specifically, was probably the beginning of my obsession with weird, I don't know, like book chicks, like brainy, crazy book chicks.
If you're a chick and you like books, you could hit Nathan up. Nathan, go ahead and put your phone number out here.
Oh, yeah, okay, so here we go again. I will have no discernment this time around.
Oh, man. No, but yeah, on that point, too, Fred is played by Freddie Prinze Jr. in the live action, as well as Daphne was played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, which you have to love her. You gotta love...
She was Buffy, right?
Oh, yeah, big Buffy fan. And then Freddie Prinze Jr., and they did... I Know What You Did Last Summer together. I wish I looked like Freddie Prinze Jr.
He plays kind of a sassy Fred. It's interesting. Which, you almost have to do something like that because the original Fred character as written is just kind of like a very generic leading man. So you have to do something with him.
Yeah, and they do, again, they really don't give the characters a lot of depth in the older series. But if you watch some of the newer ones, they all get... tons of cool depth, especially if you watch the series Mystery Incorporated. Fred is super fun in there. If you watch Be Cool Scooby-Doo, Daphne's super fun in there. Velma's got her own series. They give all their characters their right dues, I think, eventually. But yeah, early on, not as much character outside of Scooby and Shaggy.
So stacking this up against other Scooby-Doo things that I've seen, this is probably as good as it gets.
It is. Yeah, I think it is as good as it gets. I don't think I've enjoyed something... I don't know. That Mystery Incorporated show. Have you ever seen that?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Everything feels new to me, but I would say it's newer, but it's probably a little older now or something. But a newer-ish Scooby-Doo series. Super good. Heavily recommend checking it out. But yeah, that might wrap it up for Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. Again, I wish I was a little more prepared for this episode, but... due to my beautiful new daughter, I was a little unprepared, but I think we covered all the bases pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce, how prepared do you really need to be? This is Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. You've been ready to do this episode since you were probably 9 years old.
Oh, I could have done it then, I think. I should have. I should have been podcasting back when I was 9. I have waited 20 years too late.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Great.
Let's not date ourselves too, obviously. We're both 19 years old right now, in case anybody wants to know.
I am 17.
Yeah, Bryce is 17. I'm actually 12. So, just hard living. I just look a lot older.
All right. Well, yeah, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you for listening. Go ahead and check us out on all of the social media at Calling All Creeps on Instagram and Facebook and all that jazz. This is again produced by the October Society Media, which you can find on social media as well. And until next week, as the Hex Girls say, bad dreams.
Is that the thing that the Hex Girls say? Is that where you got that?
Yeah. That's where I got that. And they say bad dreams. Bad dreams, Sister Thorn.
Oh, okay.
They say sister at the end of it, but I'm talking to everybody, so just bad dreams in general. That's why I told you. That's why I'm doing this podcast, man.
Well, bad dreams indeed. And thank you for listening very much. We'll see you next week.
I can't live all the time, the place where you died, so I don't feel alone, I feel right at home. You'll always be with me, I'm yours for the taking, such a beautiful sight when you come alive. Cemetery lights, cemetery lights, cemetery lights, cemetery lights. Gorgeous colors, you and all the others. I ponder how it must be to finally be free. It makes me wanna cry when you light up the sky, brighter than a star. I wanna be where you are. Cemetery lights, cemetery lights, cemetery lights, cemetery lights. I still love you dearly. You are my one and only. I wonder if you're missing me. And when we are dancing, I wish that you could kiss me. I wonder what you are thinking. And if I join the lines tonight, would you say I threw away my life? Or would you be happy to finally be